Hi everyone, this is APO Sports, and we're back with our series projecting the numbers for the Indiana Fever players for 2025. And in this one, as the thumbnail and the title suggest, we're talking about Kelsey Mitchell. So now she's the first one of the core three that we're going to be talking about and projecting numbers for. So this is going to be interesting. This is now going to be her 8th season. So last season was her 7th, and she had by far her best season in the WNBA. Really put up really great numbers, and for the first time in her career, she received some MVP votes. So I mean, it was a coming out party for Kelsey Mitchell. It was, I mean, someone who had been essentially operating under, you know, in the shadows, not really well known. I mean, not really well known to the mainstream, to a lot of different people, a lot of different fans, right? Not the player that you think about when you what that you thought about when you thought about the WNBA pre Kaylin Clark, right? She had been in Indiana. She had been, that team was not doing well. So really, there was no reason for people to find out who Kelsey Mitchell was or her game or anything like that. But now with the with the scope and the spotlight being on Kaylin Clark, we all got to see who Kelsey Mitchell is, her game, and how an amazing of a scorer she can be. So I think projecting these numbers is going to be really fun. That's pretty much it as far as an intro for Kelsey Mitchell. Here, as we all know, she spent her entire career there. We were, I guess, one thing that we can mention is that we were all holding our breath to see whether or not Kelsey Mitchell was going to return to the Fever, right? There were some, especially during the exit interviews, she wasn't committing fully to whether she was going to resign or whether she was going to go somewhere else. So she said she was going to take the time and take everything into consideration, and she landed back in Indiana to share that backcourt with Kaylin Clark, which arguably makes them the best backcourt in the WNBA. And I believe that as well. So, with all that said, let's get into the numbers. Let's do the projections. So, let's start with minutes per game. And here, she averaged 32. That's been what she's mostly averaged since she became a starter back in 2020. So, when she joined the league in 2018, she started 17 games, uh, but came off the bench 17 games, right? So played 34, half of them she started, half of them she didn't. And then in 2019, she started 20 games out of 34, so she started some more games. But then from 2020 on, she pretty much started every game. So she's been a starter full time since then. And since she became a starter, she's been averaging 32 minutes per game, 33, 33, 34, 32. So she averages a bunch of minutes per game. Now, again, these were all of these minutes were while playing in Indiana Fever teams that were really bad, right? That they needed every one bit of those minutes that Kelsey Mitchell provided. So I think it's going to go down a little bit, not too much. So I'm thinking 31 minutes per game is what we're going to see for Kelsey Mitchell. That's my projection anyway. Just a little bit less, because 32 is just going to be a lot. And again, the other thing that I keep mentioning too is that the likelihood that the Fever blow out a ton of teams is high. So in that case, it's possible that Kaylin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, Bonner, all of these people don't see minutes in the fourth quarter or big portions of the fourth quarter. So field goal attempts, now she takes a ton of shots, right? And I think just because not only is she a volume shooter, but she's an effective scorer, meaning that she has good numbers, good shooting numbers, field goal percentage, 3-point percentage. So naturally, you want her taking as many shots as possible. So last year she took 15.1. Her most before that was back in 2021, where she took 14.4. So this was a ton of shots that she took. But now that there are a lot more threats on the court, is she still going to take 15? And I don't know. I think she could, but I'm going to project 14 and a half. I'm going to project 14 and a half field goal attempts per game instead of 15. She very well could do 15, but I think it's going to be a little bit lower just because, you know, Bonner likes to take some shots. And I think Kaylin Clark, and we'll get to her projection, but I think she's going to take more shots than she did last year. Um, Aaliyah Boston, I think she's going to take more shots than she did last year. So there's a lot more mouths to feed, I think, in my opinion. So she doesn't have to take 15. Not only that, she'll be playing potentially a whole minute less. So I'm going to go with 14 and a half field goal attempts. Now for field goal percentage, she's a career. So this was pretty good. This was actually her best field goal percentage of her career. She averages 42.6% field goal. So 46.8 was by far the best field goal percentage in her entire career. It benefits playing with Kaylin Clark, but it's going to benefit even more from an improved Aaliyah Boston handling, giving the ball, and as far as distributing the ball. And then with all the other lethal scorers and shooters that you have, I think she's going to have way more quality shots. So I actually think this might go up to about, I'll just go a full percentage up. So I'll go 47.8. Okay, so 3-point attempts. She had 6.8 last year, and that was the most that she's ever taken in a season. And also one of her highest 3-point shooting seasons as well. So it's interesting that she had more shots and increased the percentage. But again, we all know that a lot of that, it's just the benefit of playing with Kaylin Clark. Just because it's more minutes and probably less shots available, I'm just gonna lower it a little bit, not too much. For her career, she averages 6.3 3-point attempts per game. So I'm just gonna go 6.4. I think that's fair to say. It could, maybe I'm wrong. It could be higher, but I think that makes sense. And she's not crazy about taking 3-point shots every game, right? She doesn't take them at the volume that Kaylin Clark takes them. For instance, she likes the mid range. She likes getting to the basket. So it's not like she falls in love with the three and is not comfortable doing anything else. Like she'll score in a variety of ways. 3-point percentage. So for 3-point percentage, I think she's gonna have her best 3-point percentage or 3-point shooting season so far in her career. Her best one was 40.9%, so 41% in 2022. So I'm gonna raise that. I'm gonna say 42% flat. She's just lethal. She's lethal, and she scores. She shoots with confidence, and she can shoot and make him off the dribble. But catch and shoot, she's even more lethal with space. So I think that's gonna go up. Her 3-point percentage is gonna go up. Free throw attempts. So she does a good job getting to the line. Last year was one of her lowest since 2021. In 2022, she took 3.9 free throws. And in 2023, 4.1 free throw attempts per game. And then last year, 2.8. So this is going to be tough. It just depends on how aggressive, she remains and how often she can get to the line. So I'm going to say 3. I'm going to say 3 free throw attempts per game. I think that's fair. Okay, free throw percentage. Her career is 84% from the free throw line. Her best year being 2021, where she did 88% from the free throw line. Yeah, I'll give it a slight bump. I'll say 85%. Rebounds, I mean, that's not really her thing at all whatsoever. She doesn't need to be at all. And it doesn't benefit the team that she's the one looking for like she can get the rebound on a loose ball or something like that if it comes to her by chance, but she's not one the team wants down there trying to get the rebounds. If anything, you want the bigs and you want Kaylin Clark so you can kickstart the fast break and maybe get some sort of an outlet pass. and just more opportunities for easy baskets, right? So that's why you either want Kaylin Clark rebounding or you want one of your bigs rebounding. You don't want Kelsey Mitchell down there. Like for what? So 2.5 rebounds per game. I mean, she averages 2 for her career. So yeah, I mean, maybe 2.2 or something like that. I think that's all right. Assist. So last year was a low assist season for her. Actually, the lowest assist season for her. She averages 2.8 assists for her career, and even in 2022, she had 4.2 assists per game. So what that tells me is that she can pass, but there was no reason to in her role, in the role that she had last year, and in the role that she's gonna have this year. But I still believe that she may be utilized more in that role this year than she was last year. Last year they had Erica Wheeler coming off the bench and kind of distributing in the minutes that Kaylin Clark was on the bench. And I just don't know how much, and we'll get to Sydney Colson later with her projections, but I just don't know how much the team is actually going to rely on Sydney Colson to be that consistent person coming off the bench, supplementing those Kaylin Clark minutes. I think there may be situations that Kelsey Mitchell fills that role and she's capable of. So say Kaylin Clark goes, Kelsey Mitchell remains in the game and fills that role along with a bunch of shooters around, right? So you can have Mitchell, Cunningham, Hall, Bonner, I don't know, Boston or something like that. I don't know. Or Dantas, right? Even Dantas, and now you have crazy shooters with a dynamic guard like Kelsey Mitchell. You can still be super dangerous in a rotation like that. So so I think she'll have more assists. She's not very tall, right? So I think she's 5'8". And while she's an amazing offensive player, just on the defensive end, she's good at sticking to someone to not give them space to shoot, especially guards. But can't expect Kelsey Mitchell to get up there to block any shots. So yeah, 0.2. And even 0.2 is, she averages 0.1 for her career. 0.2 is like, it's a lot, but sure. Turnovers. So turnovers last year was the best. That was the lowest in her career as far as turnovers. She averages 2 turnovers for her career per game. But playing with Kaylin Clark and you don't have to play make, then that lowers your turnover ratio. But since I'm projecting that she's gonna have more assists because she may be put in situations where she may need to distribute and play and run point for a longer period of time, I'm gonna say 1.8 turnovers. And so here is the interesting thing, because I'm lowering by a little bit the field goal attempts that she's gonna have per game. However, I am raising the percentages for both field goal and 3-point shooting and free throw shooting, and more times to the free throw line, which I think that translates to 20 points per game, right? I'm gonna say she actually makes it to 20 points per game next season, which will be a career high, but I think she can do it. And not only do it, but do it more efficiently than ever. So I'm giving her 20 points per game for next season. In usage, yeah, so for her career, 25.4. Last year, like it's here, 24.9 based on that team. This team usage may probably be a little bit lower. So I'm going to say about 23.5 usage percentage. Offensive rating. So here's the other interesting thing to do here, because her defense is not that solid, but I think the team overall is going to be really good defensively. So I think her offensive rating is going to be 120. Her best offensive rating was last year, 112. But this new Indiana Fever team is just going to be great, and especially with her on the floor. Her best defensive rating ever was 109. Her defensive rating suffers quite a bit, but I'm gonna say still about 108, which 108 would be the lowest for her in her career. So she'll have the highest offensive rating of her career and the lowest defensive rating of her career. I think that's fair for what this team is about to do this season. So awards, and this is going to be the super interesting thing as well. So I'm gonna struggle with this because as you guys know, I'm a huge Aaliyah Boston fan, and just because I'm a huge Aaliyah Boston fan doesn't mean that I'm not, or I'm not a Kelsey Mitchell, or that they're competing or anything like that. But if I predict, just the fan in me predicts that Aaliyah Boston is gonna have maybe I don't know, I don't want to spoil, but I might go I might go a little bit crazy with my predictions for Aaliyah Boston. Then where does that leave Mitchell? Typically, three players on one team aren't really recognized in this way. Last year, though, the New York Liberty had three players and received votes for MVP. So they had Brianna Stewart, of course, Sabrina Ionescu, and Jonquel Jones. So, and they also had three players. The only team that had three players that made it to the first All WNBA team and second All WNBA team, right? They had two. I mean, they had one in the first All WNBA team, which was Brianna Stewart, and then they had two in the second All WNBA team, which were Sabrina and Jones. Could the Fever do that this year? So it depends, right? If they end up with the best record in the WNBA, then I would imagine that Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and Kelsey Mitchell are going to get most of the love when it comes to awards and recognition and everything like that, but only if that happens. So let's assume, since I'm so high of them, right? If you watch the video that I had on the comparing 2025 Indiana Fever and the 2018 Golden State Warriors, you know how high I am on this team. And unless something really goes wrong, they may not be the best team in basketball. But if everything goes right with the talent and the roster that they have, they should be the best team in the WNBA. It's just whether or not they can put it together. And then you have one of the best masterminds in basketball in Stephanie White that's more than capable to put it together. So I think the likelihood that happens, it's high. So let's say they do end up with the best record in the WNBA, then I think Kelsey Mitchell will get some MVP voting, and maybe she does. Maybe she's back to MVP 10 as well, and an All-Star, and a potential WNBA second team selection. So this is kind of what I'm projecting again, but this I may have to do an asterisk on that one. So I may have to do an asterisk on that one only because that's whether or not they're the best team in basketball. They're the best team in basketball. They're going to put them all in there, especially with these numbers, right? Like with these numbers, forget it. Like last year, let's see who all was in here. So Jones, how did she make it there? 14.2 points per game, 9 rebounds per game, 3 assists per game, 53% field goal shooting. So that's how Jones was able to make it there. Really good win shares. Sabrina, 18.2 points per game, 4 rebounds per game, 6 assists per game. So that was really good. Who's here that didn't belong here? Maybe Kalia Copper. 21 points per game, 4 rebounds per game, 2 assists per game, 43% field goal shooting. Yeah, maybe Copper was the one that didn't belong there, but and maybe Mitchell can do that. So yeah, I think that's doable. All right, so that's it. There it is. Those are my predictions for Kelsey Mitchell this upcoming season. She's a pivotal, vital member of this team. The core. They call her the part of the core three, and I don't disagree. I mean, she provides. She's a stable offensive contributor. She's part of this team's DNA. She brings a lot and makes things easier for Caitlin Clark and everyone else on the team. I mean, she's huge, right? I mean, 20 points per game and everything that she brings. And and experience and being a veteran, and the relationship that she has with Kaylin Clark, the relationship that she has with the rest of the team, just that calming presence. I mean, she's really a tremendous value to this team, and that's only her contributions are only going to get better. And I can't wait for her to really, pay it off after all these years of suffering. If they can pay it off with winning the title this year, I think that's going to be a, a tremendous redemption arc for Kelsey Mitchell and what she represents to the WNBA. So, yeah, these are my predictions. But let me know what you think. Let me know what you think, what you envision her role being, what you project her numbers to be. But these are my predictions, and we'll see what happens. Again, we continue to inch closer to the season, and the closer that we get, the more desperate I get to be able to watch Fever basketball again. So that's it for this video. Don't forget to like the video if you like this type of content, and to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.